Alright, I'm going to make a quick video about how to make kefir. I'll explain it as I kind of go along. This is the primary kefir in the larger container. Not sure if you can tell how thick that looks. It's kind of like cottage cheese and some milk. Gave that a good stir, letting it sit for a second. You don't really have to do that. The smaller jar is my secondary fermentation, and in the smaller jar, it's less chunky, but it still looks a bit like yogurt. You can kind of see that. See how it looks kind of thick. You see the bubbles in it as well. You see that. So I always give this a good stir. This is ready to be drank or put in a smoothie or whatever at this point. This is already fermented for 2 days. Once it's fermented for 2 days, it's good to go. You can keep it in the refrigerator for a long period of time. I keep it, I'm sure you can just hear that noise. That's kind of the pressure that builds up in this kind of container, because it will continue to ferment slowly in your refrigerator. But you can keep it in this container for weeks in plural as well. And I just pour it in there and put the lid on, and this will keep fresh for, like I said, a while. So this is done. So now I need to strain my primary kefir to get the grains out, and just to put the liquid in here for secondary fermentation. Now I have a strainer that has it's really a funnel with a strainer in it. You can use any kind of strainer. They suggest you don't use a metal strainer because apparently that's kind of bad for the kefir. But you're supposed to use a wooden spoon too. But I always use a metal spoon. I don't really think it's that big an issue. I've never had a problem with it myself. So give it one more good stir. Then we're going to dump some of it in here. You can kind of see how chunky it is when I pour it. Now up here you can see the kefir. This is the kefir grains, the thicker stuff. It looks kind of like cottage cheese. That's what you're straining out. You want to get that out and have the liquid go into the secondary fermentation. So you can leave it sit here and just let it strain it, but it takes it a good while. So I stir it. I always stir it a few good times, and then I let it sit for about 4 or 5 minutes. You don't want to let it sit too long, because fruit flies will come to it and that'll mess up your kefir. So we'll leave this sitting for a few minutes, let it strain down. You can see that it's already coming through pretty good. We'll let this come through for a few more minutes, and then I'll come back and show you the rest of it. Okay, so I'm back. It's been about 5 minutes, maybe a couple minutes more. But now you can see the kefir grains pretty clearly. Look a little more like cottage cheese. So I'm going to scoop some of these into your jar. I'm giving you a couple of spoonfuls. And this is going to get you going really quickly. Now I'll put some milk on this in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and strain out the rest of mine first though. I had just a little bit left in that jar. I usually make about probably about 12 to 16 ounces a day, and then I usually just kind of get like a Nalgene bottle full of it, and then I put it in the refrigerator. So that's one of the things I'm going to tell you, that you need to keep fresh milk on it every day. If you leave it for a day and a half, it'll be fine. more than that, you risk having it mold. If it molds on the surface, it's done. So I always use organic milk, either 2% or fat-free. Whole milk will work just fine too. But what you want to make sure you do is you get milk that's been pasteurized. Obviously, it's basically it's impossible to not find pasteurized milk. But when I say pasteurized, I mean not ultra pasteurized. A lot of milk is ultra pasteurized and it'll stay in your refrigerator for months. That you don't really want that because Keifer really likes some of the bacteria that's naturally in milk. So you want just pasteurized, not ultra pasteurized. So we'll put some milk on Keifer I'm giving you, and that's good right there. That'll keep it ready to go. I'm gonna put this in the fridge because you'll get it tomorrow. So now I'm gonna scoop, not shovel, the rest of this Keifer back into my primary jar. You can clean your jars, your primary and secondary, as much as you want to. I don't clean my primary that often. You can see on some videos online, people have been using the same jar for years. I clean it probably once a month or so. Starts getting cruddy. It's kind of hard to clean. I've found the secret is to soak it with OxyClean, and it'll soak it one day with OxyClean, and that gets it pretty clean. Okay, so now I'll put my strainer over here. Okay, now I'm going to recharge my Keifer. It needs new milk. And that's about a good amount for me. I mean, obviously you can vary whatever. It'll make as much Keifer as you want to a limit. I'm sure that there's a limit where if you had making a gallon a day, you'd need a substantial amount of Keifer. But the amount of Keifer that I gave you, it'll make 8 ounces a day, 16 ounces a day, no problem. So now that it's recharged, put this little paper filter on it, and what it is just a coffee filter. Some people use cheesecloth. I just find these paper coffee filters work real easy. Put a rubber band around it, and what this does is it allows it to vent, because when it's fermenting, it produces quite a good bit of CO2, and it'll outsource that. And you don't want to leave it uncovered because fruit flies can smell that CO2 and they'll try to get in it. So if you ever see a rip in the paper, just obviously toss it and get another one. Now I have another paper filter for what's now my secondary. The secondary will sit one more day, and then it goes into the jar in the Nalgene jar that goes in the refrigerator, and then the Keifer that's in my primary jar gets strained and put back in here, and it's basically a 2-day process. You don't have to do it secondary, but it's supposed to be a lot better for you if you do. It tastes better to me if you do it. It's gonna be super sour either way. It's less sour after 2 days, I think, but it's kind of surprisingly sour if you try to drink it by itself. Like, it almost tastes like lemon juice. Like, it's almost that sour. It's not quite as sour as lemon juice, but it's dang close. So when you get yours, get home, keep it in the fridge all day until you get home. When you get home, put a paper coffee filter over it, rubber band it, and then let it sit out for a day, and then you'll be ready to switch over to the secondary, and then from the secondary to the fridge, or a shake or whatever you choose to drink it out of. But keep it in a dark place. I keep it in my cellar, but you don't have to keep it in a cellar as long as it's in a kind of a dark cabinet. Apparently, like light, especially like UV light, will kill some of the bacteria, so you don't want that to happen. So keep it in a dark place. So hopefully that's a helpful video. I'm not sure that I covered everything about Keifer, but the basic processes of how to make it. It's pretty simple. So if you have any other questions, let me know.